The Classic Modern Motorsport South got its season underway on the 24th of April 2021, with 3 categories racing on the same day on separate grids. The TinTop category was busy as ever, and this year has 5 categories within the series: T1, T2, T3, T4 and also TP. T4 being the brand new category for 2021 for microcars such as the Ford KA and the Citroen C1, which we've seen race in other categories around the UK. Warren Johnson had a spectacular return to circuit racing in the UK, pushing hard in qualifying, ending up in the gravel briefly before getting underway and setting the fastest time. He had the 2 Honda Civics directly behind him, and then there was a battle for 4th place between Marcus Bicknell and Ken Angell. The latter would take pole in class but wouldn't beat Marcus to P4 on the grid. In TP, it was a spectacularly close session between the 2 Ford Fiestas, but this time Ian Seal would take the class win in qualifying. And then in T4, the new category for 2021, the pole position would be taken by the Ford KA of Mark Ryder. And it was a dramatic end to the session for the TinTops as Chris Bicknell had his bonnet come undone and come up into his windscreen. Thankfully for Chris, he was able to pull the car to the side of the circuit, and then a marshal was able to put the bonnet back into place, and he was able to finish out the session with a slightly cracked windscreen. Sadly, that wasn't the drama done for the day for Chris, as we headed into the first race, who would unfortunately not make the start due to a flat battery. I'll hand you over to Dan Wright, the commentator at Lydden Hill, to call the start of race 1.
For the first time in 2021, we're about to get the green light to go racing at Lydden Hill. The TinTops are away and Warren Johnson's already under pressure from Dan Fisher. Dan Fisher in his first ever race at Lydden Hill swoops around the outside at Chesson's Drift. Is he going to be able to hold on? This is going to be brave stuff from Fisher. They're going to go door to door on the run out of Chesson's. There's contact between the two. Warren Johnson onto the rallycross circuit, back onto the tarmac. He survives, but that was a scary moment for Johnson. Welcome back to Lydden, Warren. That was a high-speed moment down Dover Slope. Further back, putting in a good drive in 4th spot is Marcus Bicknell. We're more used to seeing Marcus in his Joey Logano tribute livery Ascar, but he's into front-wheel drive Saxo machinery today. He's going nicely in 4th.
The battle between Ken Angell and Andy Bannon would last the whole of race number 1. The two exchanging side-to-side racing the whole way through. While in separate classes, both of course wanted to take the higher position overall at the end of the day, and chasing down 4th place Marcus Bicknell was their aim, to try and possibly get a podium if anything happened ahead of them. And if we look into the new T4 category for 2021, it was a dominant drive for Mark Ryder in his Ford KA. He put in some fantastic lap times, his best of which coming on lap number 11 with a 54.799. It certainly was a great start for the T4 category within the CMMCS. We ride back on board with 2nd place driver Warren Johnson in his Peugeot 205, trying to chase down Daniel Fisher, who ended up setting the fastest lap of the whole race on a 47.087. It was close between the top 3, all in class T2 as well, but it was Daniel Fisher taking the fastest lap. Warren Johnson and Dave Hutchins, who is currently sitting in 3rd place, all setting lap times within a couple of tenths of a second of each other. As they were starting to catch some lap traffic, specifically the TP class victory battle between Richard Sanders and Ian Seal, quick thinking was needed to make sure they got through here without losing much time. The 3 cars at the front of this pack all very closely matched in performance, and slight contact was made as they tried to lap the TP 2nd place runner of Ian Seal, and they blast on the power down the back straight, moving to the inside of Richard Sanders' Fiesta, while also lapping the T4 2nd place runner. It was all getting very frantic at the front of this pack here for the overall win, and also the win within T2 as well. These T2 cars going particularly well around Lydden Hill.
Fisher is really defensive because Warren Johnson is right, high and wide, trying everything to get this Peugeot 205 past the race-leading Honda Civic Type R. Dives up the inside, and Warren Johnson's made a great move up the inside at Paddock Bend, and through goes the Piper Cam sticker Peugeot, but Dan Fisher's going to fight back. The power of the Honda comes into its own down the Canterbury Straight. Johnson back up the inside, trying to make the move stick through Chesson's down Dover Slope, but that was the first time we've seen a real challenge from Johnson. He had the lead over the timing line.
The battle for TP was just as busy as the battle for the lead of this race. The two Ford Fiesta ST150s looked fantastic out on track, and the two were separated by absolutely nothing. And as we go back on board with Andy Bannum, he was trying to chase down Ken Angell for 5th position. The two were very close throughout the whole of this race as well. Some fantastic battles throughout the field, and this battle for 5th place would eventually go the way of Ken Angell in his BMW. The fight for the lead would not stop, the three drivers so close through the whole race, and of course into the final laps of it, they wanted to all try and grasp that first position within class and overall.
There's a change for the lead though at the top, because up the inside goes Warren Johnson. The Pluckley man gets through past Dan Fisher, and now suddenly we've got Dave Hutchins into play as well. It's the Peugeot 205 from the two Hondas, and Fisher goes wide all over the grass. Keep out the tyre wall, Dan. He fails to into the wall. That's a big hit for Dan Fisher.
An unfortunate end to a fantastic battle for the lead of this race, and it was eventually red flag, meaning that Warren Johnson was the race winner and within T2 as well. T1 race winner was Ken Angell in his BMW E36, and in T3 it was a great win for Marcus Bicknell, and in TP the fantastic battle between two Ford Fiestas was eventually won by Richard Sanders. The first T4 winner within the CMMCS went to Mark Ryder in his Ford KA. But quickly we went on to race number 2 here at Lydden Hill in a tight schedule, with Warren Johnson starting at the front.
And we're about to go green for the second time. The flag drops, we're racing, and it's Dave Hutchins who gets the launch off the line. He leads the Peugeot 205 of Warren Johnson into Chesson's Drift for the first time of asking.
Sadly, the second race took place without Dan Fisher after substantial damage in the first race of the day, but we were treated to another fantastic battle between Honda and Peugeot for the lead of this race. Further down the field, Andy Banner was having another great performance. He was battling with Ken Angell once again, and Nick Lunn was also in their battle. A fantastic one once again, battling for 3rd, 4th and 5th position, with Marcus Bicknell mixed in there as well.
He bought this car for £1,200. One old lady owner. It's now a proper race car in the hands of Andy Bannum. He's into 4th place. He's right on the rear bumper of Ken Angell, and considering he bought this car for £1,200 on eBay, he's doing very well indeed to chase right onto the rear of the BMW of Ken Angell ahead. This is good stuff from Bannum.
It was also thankfully a much better race for Chris Bicknell in his Citroen Saxo after all the dramas throughout qualifying and race number 1. He'd start from the back of the field but drive a fantastic race up through the field and make some fantastic moves along the way.
Chris Bicknell having a far better run this time around. He's having a go at Sanders for 7th place. Good change between the two of them. They're swapping around throughout this Lydden circuit.
And try as he might, Andy Bannum couldn't quite make his way past Ken Angell in his BMW E36. Another fantastic battle between the two cars, completely different to look at from the outside, but on track very similar in terms of performance. An important battle because this was for overall P3 on the road, so both drivers were giving it their all.
Marcus Bicknell, another one who deserves a shout out. He's in 5th spot in the little Saxo, sticking with Andy Bannum in the 2-litre Renault Clio and with Ken Angell in the BMW.
The battle for the overall lead was never much more than 1 second out front. An incredible battle between Dave Hutchins in his Honda Civic Type R and Warren Johnson in that Peugeot 205. The two were separated by millimetres at times. Incredible racing from both drivers for the overall win.
175 brake horsepower under the bonnet, and Warren Johnson is using every ounce of it as he comes down the Canterbury Straight, hard on the brakes, trying to get up the inside. There's a little bit of contact between the two as they went through Pilgrims. Just a little kiss of the bumpers as they went through Pilgrims and into Chessons. Don't want to see too much of that, but they both got away with it. Dust flew up in the air. There may be a little bit of bodywork damage on the front left corner of Warren Johnson's rather immaculate Peugeot, but the two of them did come together just as they went into one of the fastest parts of the circuit. This race is an enthralling one.
And after a slightly slow start to race number 2, Marcus Bicknell was on a charge once again in his green Citroen Saxo. He was attempting now to overtake Andy Bannum in his blue Renault Clio.
May have a change for 4th place because Andy Bannum is going to lose out to Marcus Bicknell on the run into Chessons. Bicknell gets through into 4th, passes Andy Bannum on the run into Pilgrims. A change then for 4th place.
Marcus would eventually start to gap the Renault Clio and be on the tail of Ken Angell for the remainder of the race, but wouldn't be able to find a way past the BMW. In TP, the battle was fantastic as always. Richard Sanders and Ian Seal battling around the Lydden Hill circuit for 2 races, nose to tail for the whole time. An incredible watch in the TP class. Hopefully we'll have more runners in that class in the future. But a fantastic battle between 2 cars, showing you only need 2 cars in class for great racing. With Lydden Hill being a tight and twisty circuit, you did need a significant pace advantage over someone to make the move stick. Both races provided some fantastic battles for the overall victory and in class as well, but this time Warren Johnson wanted to make the move stick and win the second race of the day, like he did the first, but hopefully with some less dramas.
And Warren Johnson's going to try and make his move right around the outside. That is brave again, trying to use the back markers as a bit of a cover for his opportunistic move. He's on the outside line, he's good on the brakes for the elbow, gets the inside, but there's a Honda Civic shaped car in the way. Hutchins is a wily old fox. He's showing all of his experience here to keep that number 12 car of Warren Johnson at arm's length as best he can.
After his dramas in the early part of the day, Chris Bicknell was on a charge, fighting his way through the field and up to the back of Nick Clunn in his lovely Honda Integra. The two were battling back and forth for many laps, and both of them were looking up the road to the likes of Andy Bannum here in his Clio, knowing that an overall podium wasn't entirely out of the question. But as for Andy Bannum, sadly for him, not quite enough laps to get past Ken Angell into 3rd place overall, but a fantastic effort from both drivers here. The tight and twisty Lydden Hill circuit definitely evens the playing field in terms of certain drivers having more power.
Chris Bicknell's having a better run this time. He's now going to pass Nick Lunn, it seems, for 6th place. Chris is going to make a move into the elbow. That's ahead of the race leaders.
Unfortunately for Chris and Nick, both of them had to retire late on in this race and were both classified as a DNF, along with Christopher McKenzie, who had an incident on the first lap of the race. In the brand new T4 category is another fantastic drive for the Ford KA of Mark Ryder, bringing home their car once again. 17 laps on the board and a fantastic lap time of 55.0. Not too bad at all considering the lack of power in the Ford KA. So it was a fantastic overall victory, and T2 as well for Dave Hutchins. T1 was won by Ken Angell, T3 by Marcus Bicknell. And finally, TP was won by Richard Sanders. Him and Ian Seal had one of the best battles I've ever seen for 18 laps, separated at the end by 0.044 seconds. Join us soon at Brands Hatch for the next round of the season, and we'll see you there. Goodbye.